Hi, everybody, and welcome to Making Art Public. This is our first series of Artist Talks, and I am Shawnda, your Palm Springs Public Arts Commissioner, and I am so excited to introduce to you the talented Tysen Knight, the artist behind the street benches in downtown Palm Springs. So welcome, Tysen. So good to see you.
Thanks for having me. This is a blessing and an honor.
Oh, we are so excited about the positivity and the love that you've blessed the community with. We cannot wait to talk. We have so much to talk about. So
Absolutely.
first of all, I want to know, where'd you grow up and what made you become an artist of all things on the face of the earth to become?
I know, right? With all the things out there. I grew up I was born in Florida. I moved to New Jersey when I was about 6 years old. So really Jersey is much, I really know Jersey more than, anything else. But, I grew up by New York City where, you saw this beautiful artwork and graffiti and street art. So that inspired me to want to be an artist. And I was very young, so I would just kind of be in my room, just, drawing. And my parents came in one day, was like, "You're pretty good at this, huh?" I was like, "Yeah, I think I'm okay." And they just, my parents encouraged me to pursue art, as a career and as a passion. And that's kind of where I got the spark. And, they were able to instill confidence in me and, give me that nudge to keep going. So I appreciate them for that. And I probably never going to repay them for that. But that's how I kind of got my start in the art world, Yeah, just that encouragement from my parents. Yeah.
So what brought you to the Coachella Valley? I mean, how did that journey went from Florida to New Jersey to the Coachella Valley? Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Well, that journey actually, so what happened was, as I was, cultivating my art, artists, art is one of those things where, everybody's a struggling artist at some point in their life, right? So I had to figure out how else can I, survive and take care of myself. So when I was in New Jersey, I picked up barbering, because I already was blessed with my hands. So I picked up barbering and was able to be put in a great situation that I started cutting hair for the NFL networks, which they had a facility in New Jersey, and also for the Philadelphia Eagles football team. And that started part of my journey. So I was able to get into places that I usually probably wouldn't get into without having those connections. And I was afforded to meet a young lady who was actually a talent agent. And, you're in a barbershop, you're always talking crap all day. I was a big personality in the shop. She said, "You ever thought about taking acting?" And I was like, "No, not really." And she's like, I want you to go for a couple auditions. So I went for a few auditions, and I started booking, acting work in New York. And that's kind of what got me out on the West Coast. I said, well, I could take my art, my barbering, and, a little bit of the acting I've done, and maybe go to LA and see, California, and see what I can do. And the blessing in it was that, the NFL networks and some of the players that I knew from the Philadelphia Eagles actually helped sponsor me to get out to California. So I got to California in 2006. I was cutting hair, still doing my art, doing modeling, acting. I was like the lead boyfriend in a lot of different music videos with Chrisette Michelle, Mary J. Blige, Maya, some commercials. I shot a whole feature film called House Arrest. But, so I was just kind of trying to ingratiate myself in anything with the arts. So that's how I got to California. Now, the story of me getting to actually the Coachella Valley in Palm Springs, it was, I had met a young lady who lived out here in Palm Springs, and she was like, "Hey, you should come out and visit." I have never heard of Palm Springs before. And she said, "You should come out and visit." So I came out and visit, and I just instantly fell in love with this valley. And I just thought, like, wow, why would I never, my whole life, never knew this place existed. This is a beautiful place to be. And so I transitioned out of LA here to, and actually come a part of this community and also be with this young lady. And unfortunately, we didn't last, we lasted about 4 or 5 years. And then after that, I got to the point where, do I stay in this community or do I leave this community? And I made the choice to stay. And ever since then, I've been embraced by this community. I have love for this community. I have affinity to this community. I support this community, and I'm here, and I'm a part of it. So I'm gonna do my best to, make sure that I spread positivity, love, and inspire, and help whoever needs help here. So yeah, so I'm here. So that's how life is. You never know where life is going to lead you. In your life, you just kind of, they say if you want to make a plan, if you want to make they say if you want to make the Most High laugh, have a plan, right?
Exactly. Exactly. We are so happy you're here in the Coachella Valley. We are so blessed that we have your talents here. How has it been for you during the quarantine? Like, how has that process been with how does it affect your art? How does it affect your business? I mean, now that you chose the Coachella Valley to be your home, and now you're sequestered here during this time of the pandemic, how has it really been for you? How have you been holding up?
I see. I have over the years. I've always had a unique ability to take something negative and turn it into something positive, and use that energy to always inspire myself. And unfortunately, we had to go through this coronavirus, this pandemic. But me being sequestered at home actually gave me the ability to open up even more of my mind to creativity and try to come up with even better ideas and even more inspiring artwork and just push my limits. So this bad situation, this unfortunate situation, I see a silver lining in the cloud, right? I see that when it's over and we start to heal, I'm going to have fantastic things I can share. And I approached it from that perspective. Because I don't ever want to get myself in a negative space and stay in that space. I mean, you can't always be positive. I mean, it's not like, you can't just skip down the road all the time. But I think in life, life is a lot about problem solving and, turning negative situations into positive situations for the most part. We're all going to go through them. We're all going to have them. But I think it was very important for me to look at this time as, okay, you're already home, bunker down, take your creativity to the next level. And trust me, I've been pushing myself to the limits. I mean, I don't know if I got anything left, but I've been pushing myself to the limit to get
tell us about that process. Like, take us through your whole daily ritual, like from the time you wake up, from the time you pick up an art brush, like give us that. Do you have like a ritual that you do every day before you paint?
I live alone. So what I usually do is to get my day started, I would make sure I clean up, my home. Because I feel as though like if my space is clean and my studio is clean, my thoughts will be a little bit more clearer. And then I get that done. So now that's out of my head space. So now I put my energy into creating. And sometimes I don't like to force creativity. So I've always trusted the universe to give me ideas. And as long as it's from a pure place, I've always gotten ideas. So I'm just lucky for that and blessed for that to happen. So hopefully that never runs out, right?
Right.
But I just trust the universe to give me, certain ideas, and I just start, and then I let it organically happen from there. But my mind in the forefront of my mind is always creativity and always pushing myself, as far as I can push myself without overdoing it, without getting myself to a space where I have a creative block and I can't create. So that's my process. I wake up in the morning, I make sure that my space, my studio is clean and clear. So now my mind is clean and clear. And then I can move forward and start the process of creating. And then I try to put everything into categories, like in my day, kind of structure it, for the most part.
And do you work at one piece at a time, or do you work at several pieces? Like you do a little here, a little there, or do you just stay focused on one piece to finish one work at a time?
Well, that's a good question. And so what I do work on one piece at a time, but I have all these like creative thoughts coming so fast and so furious, right? So what I do is I have a pad and a piece of paper. So I may be working on a piece and I get an idea for another piece. What I'll do is I'll just jot down some chicken scratch notes.
Right.
Okay, so now this is gonna be the next prize. So it's like a building process. Like I don't want to lose those thoughts, because you can lose some of these amazing thoughts. Right. So you don't want to lose those thoughts. So I'll jot them down. Or if I'm in my bed, if I'm not working on the piece, say I'm done for the day, and I'm laying in the bed, what I'll do is have my phone there. And if I can't sleep or anything, or wake up or dream or anything, and I get a thought, I make sure I jot it down. That's my routine. So now I can continue to go. So I can concentrate on this one piece, but then I can always go back to my notes and things that I've written down within the process of doing that first piece. And then I have the steps and all the necessary elements in place to create the next amazing artwork. Yeah.
Now, when we were all out and about before the pandemic, you were
Hmm.
creating and painting the benches in
Yes,
downtown Palm Springs. So tell me a little
yes.
bit of how that project came about.
Well, that project came about because of Russell, as part of the art
Mhm.
commission. He reached out to me on Facebook,
Shout out to
and
Russell. Hey,
shout
Russell.
out to Russell. Yeah, Russell. Shout out to Russell. Yeah, and he said they had this idea, this concept, because I think they were going to replace the benches, but I think the cost of replacing them was astronomical. So they came up with a brilliant idea to actually have artists paint them, which I thought was brilliant because I scoured the internet. I haven't seen that done anywhere else that I was able to uncover. I haven't seen that done anywhere else. I think we're probably one of the first cities to actually implement this type of project. So kudos to you guys for coming up with something so incredible and so amazing. And so let me get back to the story. And he messaged me on Facebook, and he said, "Hey, I got this idea. Let's meet." And at first, I didn't know exactly what direction he was going to go with. But when we sat down and met, and I said, "Okay, this is a cool idea." And it was challenging for me because I've never done anything of that scope, far as on benches. I've done wall murals and paintings, but not something that had all these different shapes and dimensions to it, where
Right.
everything had to be structured. And so we met, and he said, "Hey, we want you to do the job." I said, "Absolutely." And we started the process there. And then you guys voted me in, and we started there. And then I brought another one of my good friends in, who's an artist, and we went to town, and we just took all the creativity, all the knowledge we had, and just put it into those benches. And I think it came out amazing.
I mean, this came out amazing. They really, really did. I mean, is there one particular bench that's your favorite bench that you worked on? And what were some of the specific obstacles that you encountered as you were working on the bench?
I think the big, I think I like them all particularly the same. I'm actually really, really excited that I was able to put John Michelle Basquiat on one of the benches.
My
I think
favorite.
that was very important to show some diversity. So I was very excited about that. Also excited about putting Frida Kahlo. We all have to be represented because we all live in this community as one. So I think we all had to be represented. So I'm very proud that I was able to do a project that was multicultural.
Mhm.
I'll say any of the challenges were just the heat. You know, the heat was definitely a challenge because it was what I started that in like triple degree weather, right? I said, I said, man, they got me out here. They got me out here.
Triple digits.
You know, but they were like, we're gonna see if this brother is really dedicated to what he says he's dedicated to, and I was up for the challenge, and that was probably one of the challenges. And another challenge was actually just explaining to people that walk by in the community what was going on.
Mhm.
They were a little perplexed in what was actually occurring, so I would have to break concentration a lot just to talk to people, and then you have people that also came up that was admiring what we were doing, and people that wanted to, they had questions. So that was probably the only challenges, but for the most part it was all positive, it was all productive.
Mhm.
And sometimes I think back, and I sit back actually and think like, I did that many benches, like it's like, so that it was that much focus, and to say like, wow, sometimes you got to sit back and smell the flowers and say, wow, like you did something incredible. But yeah, but other than that, there wasn't really any bigger challenges than that. So I'm just honored that we're going to actually have other artists paint some of the benches. So that'd be cool, I think. Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
really
to
cool.
get that, but so,
Yeah.
I mean, with everything that's going on, while you were painting the benches on there, did everybody embrace you? I mean, to see a Black artist on the
Hmm.
street, like
Hmm.
that's like a unicorn running
Yeah,
around
yeah,
in
yeah.
the valley. I mean, to see a good-looking Black artist head up there sweating in
Yeah,
three-digit heat,
yeah,
making it happen. Like, was everybody like, like, wow, where did you come from? Or what are you doing here? Like, how was
yeah.
that? I mean, especially now, what's going on in our history.
Hmm.
And the Coachella Valley isn't known for being a huge Black community. So,
Yeah,
what was
yeah.
that like for you?
it definitely had its challenges. I think a lot of people misjudge, people just based off of, their own beliefs or their upbringing. So, I had one incident where I was out there painting the benches. I had set up the tent, right? Right. So I had a gentleman ride by, and he's like, "Why are you setting up there?" So, it's already hot outside. So I'm kind of like, I can't even go. I can't even go there. So I was like, "It's all good, man." He's like, "No, it's not all good." I was like, "Okay, whatever, dude." So he drives away. And, a couple of days later, NBC wanted to do a story on the process because they were actually there in the beginning of the process of me creating these benches. So they wanted to kind of do a step-by-step process to the process was completed. And it's funny, but this how life in the universe works. This is how it works. To show people that you might not want to prejudge people, and ignorance is not the way. That same day that they were doing another cover story on me, that same gentleman that drove by was actually walking down the street with his wife. So while the story was going on, I guess he put two and two together. He came up to me and said, "I want to apologize. I thought you were a homeless person setting up a tent, in the middle of downtown." He said, I seriously want to apologize. His wife was like, "He's always saying something crazy," right? So I said, because at the end of the day, I think people prejudge just based off of lack of knowledge. Because ignorance, I don't look at it as a negative word. I think ignorance is just a lack of knowledge of something, or something you've been taught that's correct. So him even apologizing to me let me understand that even if you have certain ideologies and thoughts, you could actually change those. So we can change our heart and our mind on certain things. So a long story short, it's funny because when they were doing the story, they asked him, did he want to say something in the story, the segment? And he said something, rather pleasant about me. So, that just showed me that things can turn around. We can't always fight ignorance with ignorance,
right?
All the time. But we can't let people push us over either. Exactly. So it's this fine line of finding that fine line where you don't let people, treat you unjust, and at the same time, you don't want to fight ignorance with ignorance where our message gets lost.
Right.
You understand? So I think I want to share that story. But, other than that, pretty much everybody was cool.
In that moment, like basically art helped that healing process.
Yes.
So, I mean, for one person's preconceived notion, you being an artist, you were able to heal that part of the community so your benches are like healing benches, basically.
Yes. And that's the point.
So tell me more about how the ways that you think art can heal the community.
Because you got to remember, if you think about this, right? If you just think about it intrinsically, creativity always has a positive vibe to it. I mean, there's really nothing negative about creativity. That comes from, your mind. That comes from the Most High. That comes from the universe. Like creativity always inspires people. I mean, everything around us was created. The cars we drive, the type of foods we eat, everything, the buildings, the structures, the roads. If you look back, everybody that created something in society helped the betterment of mankind. Someone had to think of it. Someone had to have that forethought and say, I can create this. They may not have known they was creating it that for people that generations and generations to come will be able to enjoy. But I think creativity is one of the backbones of our society. And I mean, and without that, I think we'll perish without having, creativity in our society. It always exudes positivity. Always. Always. Yeah.
And wow, that this interview went by so quickly. I feel like I could talk to you. I feel like I could talk to you all day. You made it so easy for us to be able to talk to you. And everyone, you can find Tysen. You registered on our artist directory. I'd like everybody to know that there is a registry here in the Coachella Valley of all the artists. And Tysen is on that public directory. Yeah. And before we go, could you tell us a little bit more about your public outreach? Like, what have you done with the community and for the community, with the children and with the homeless you were talking about earlier?
Well, I think, thus far, I've done a lot to just, uplift and inspire, But I think with the recent situation that's going on with George Floyd's murder, and just people just feeling defeated and hopeless. I think that I've been home for the last few days, trying to figure out a way, once things calm down, how I could integrate different dynamics into my mentorship program, and to help more with the healing process. Because I think what we were doing before the pandemic and before this thing that's going on with the Black Lives Matter and George Floyd, which is devastating. I mean, my heart bleeds, just for my community, and also just for people in general. I just see so much, negativity and back and forth and arguing with each other, and I think that's counterproductive. So I'm just waiting to implement new ideas and new things into my mentorship, into how I inspire people, so that when we come up out of this, what we had before that was great, but I think we have to really turn it up even more now, because you got to remember, the youth are watching us. We are the ones that set the standards for the youth. So I understand that. So I make sure that I keep that in mind before I do anything that will not be productive. So that's where my mind is really focused at. So I don't mind getting with you and other people in the community, and we're just coming up with some really great things to inspire the youth, because they are the ones that's really going to catch the brunt of what's going on. And it's very important that the next generation, sees us in a positive light and be able to move this world forward. So that's what I've been working on, just implementing new and just overwhelming, great, positive, ideas. So yeah, so that's
And like one of the projects that we've been both working on is the mask project, because of COVID-19, all of a sudden hit us on top of, first it was racism, now there's a pandemic, and now there's there was just so much stuff that was, pushed upon us at such a, this 2020 has been such a year.
But you're right. But and also with the protests, I also like when the peaceful protests. I also like that all demographics are getting together for the equality of everybody. I think that's if I could take one positive thing out of this right now to grasp onto some type of inspiration and hope, is that I see all demographics of people out wanting equality and justice for all of us. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And that just shows the progress of where we've come as African Americans to have some allies that really, really want to see change. And I think that with the pandemic, and then like you said, with the racism, both of those, I think a lot of people have a different view of, all demographics were affected by the pandemic, right?
Yep.
And then on top of that racism, now people are able to see clearer, like, whoa, wait a minute. These people have been disenfranchised and ostracized on some levels. Let's all get together and help each other. Let's all make a difference. But we have to make a difference within the context of, even if your brother or sister or another demographic doesn't agree with you, we still should be able to have respect for each other and all have a common goal of moving, the culture forward and moving our society forward. That's what I think. That's
Those are some serious good thoughts, because I definitely share those same thoughts with you. And and one of the projects that we were talking about, after the pandemic to come together with, is creating the mask, like creating this quilt. And now we have another element to add to that.
Yes.
So I made a mask for you, and then
nice.
and
that's right. You gave me that mask. I was like,
mask. And then I gave you one, and you painted. Tell me about the artwork that you painted on one of the masks.
Two,
right? Yeah, you did two.
I did two of them. I did one with like a kind of like a Betty Boop themed character, then one with Hello Kitty. Those are some images, and the reason I picked those images is because it took me back to my childhood, and in the positivity that I felt when I looked at those images. Because a lot of those images actually were some of the first images I ever started to try to create and to find out if I was an artist or not, right? Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to revert back to that, where I had a certain amount of innocence and inspiration, and And I just wanted to share that with people. And so the masks were made basically to give a part of myself, a part of my energy to the world and to the masses, and more importantly, my community. So I think that you're right. We can add on to that, and add other elements, and because we're gonna need a lot of healing when this is over. We're gonna need a lot of healing when this is over, and I think that the project we started, we can definitely add components to that, and and do something great, fantastic. Yeah.
So thank you so much, Tysen. We have talked, like I feel, oh my gosh. I was like, okay. I mean, like 20 minutes went.
Yeah. It just flies by. Yeah.
So thank you so much for your honesty, for your love, for your creativity that you brought to the Coachella Valley. I'm really looking forward to working with you and all the people of the Coachella Valley to create more public art in public places. And I hope you have an amazing, wonderful, beautiful day. It's been a total honor talking to you. Thank you.
The honor talking to you as well.
Everyone, Tysen Knight, check out his website. Check him out on our public arts directory. And thank you so much for being with us today. We adore you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And I wanted to say to the community, I love you guys, and we're gonna get through this, and we're gonna make a change. So just be inspired, and we're gonna do this. No worries.
Public art will heal us all.
Absolutely. All right.
Thank you. Take care.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.